Hello and welcome to this random chess puzzles video where you can solve these puzzles along with me. Pause at any time if you need more time to think. These are mostly for beginner to intermediate players. The ratings are around 1,000 to 1,500. So here it looks like white has just pushed a pawn forward, attacking the knight. What should we do here? Well, let's take a look. All right, well, when you're solving puzzles, I've mentioned this before if you've seen any of the other videos, the first thing you want to do is look for checks against your opponent because, that may lead to a checkmate, and of course that is the best way to go. So let's see, knight to e2 here delivers check. But then you want to make sure you have a follow-up once you check. So, you don't want to just check because you can. You have to make sure that there's some continuation, especially if you're playing a game. So knight to e2 check, the king will be forced into the corner. And then it looks like, and remember to pause if you want to calculate this out on your own, but then it looks like our rook can sacrifice itself, delivering check and forcing the king to capture, and then the other rook can come over and deliver a check. And the only thing that can be done is for these bishops to block, but they will be captured, and then checkmate will be delivered. So try and calculate everything in your head from the first move to checkmate, or whatever the entire problem is. Because in a game you can't make a move and then try again if you make a mistake. You have to calculate everything out and make sure that what tactic you try actually works. So check, sacrifice the rook, the other rook checks, and then these bishops try to block, but we just pick them off and deliver a mate. So that was a 1480 rated problem. I hope you did well on that one. And let's move on to another one. I'll try and do a total of probably 10 problems, unless there are any tricky ones that take up a lot of time. All right. What do we have here? Did a pawn just capture? Maybe we don't want to recapture, or our queen will be picked off. So, which way do we go here? Or maybe we do. So, pause if you want to really dig into this problem. If not, let's see what may come to mind here. Let's see if we do sacrifice our queen, what happens. If we capture this pawn targeting the queen, we also have a bishop and a rook that would be lined up here. So, does that work? Is there a good follow-up? So, this is where problems can get a little more tricky. If we capture, the queen's under attack. So, queen captures our queen, and then we either have a check, where the king could try and move here, or here, but the bishop will be lined up. So, and we probably have to deliver, well, we could try and capture here and then have a discovered attack. So this one is a little tricky. Oh, another thing to check out when you're trying to solve tactics problems is the order of the moves. So maybe we have a good combination, but the order of our moves is incorrect. So maybe it would be better to capture first, attacking the king, and then if the king captures our rook, we could capture the pawn with a discovered check here, and be targeting the queen. So that looks to be a better way to go. So let's calculate that. Rook captures, king captures. We capture here, targeting the queen with a discovered check, and we would be able to pick off the queen. Or the queen would block, and then we'd pick off the queen with our bishop. So, what if we go, or, if we capture, what if the rook or the king does not capture the rook? So then what do we do? If the king moves here, we could just retreat back. Either way, that looks good for us. As far as material, well, I think that's the way to go. So yes, then we can just pick off the queen. So they didn't make it, more difficult and tricky by not capturing the rook. All right. So now that was a 1320 problem. Let's move on to the next one. I hope you did well on that one. Queen has just moved to c2, checking our king. Okay, so that is not very good. What do we do about that? Well, when you're in check, you have three options. Capture the attacker, which we can't do. Block, which we could do with our knight or our queen, but then we would just be captured. Or run. So, and if we blocked, we would be captured with a check. So running is probably the best option, but where to? If we go here, we could be attacked again. So maybe we have to go here. Something like that. If we move here, the pawn could just pick off our knight. And then maybe that would give us time to attack our opponent's king here with, okay, king to g4, pawn captures our knight. We can't check because of the queen covering that diagonal. So that's a good strategy. When you have your king in the corner, if you can place your queen or bishop along an open diagonal so there aren't any surprise checks like we could have here if this queen wasn't here. So maybe we have to sacrifice our rook. No, we can't. We're in check. So, all right. We have to move our king. So if we go here, that gives them time to capture or check us. They could check us here. So not looking too good here. Not looking too good. Maybe we want to move up here. And then if the rook tries to attack us, but then they could. So yeah, this is a tricky one. If we move up here, there is this check, or if they try and pin our queen to our king, we could just capture. Rook captures, and that gives us time to move our knight away. So they would probably check with the rook. We'd probably have to block. Would we have to block with the knight? They could capture, forking, well, not forking, but attacking our queen. But we would have time to attack here with our rook. Now if we go here, there's a check possibility with that. The knight could just block. Tricky. Man. Okay, if we go here, this is a tricky one. King to g4. If they attack with this pawn, we could just pick off the other pawn. So, what if the queen goes over here, getting ready to try and, attack us with the pawn? Man. Yeah, this one is rough. All right. I don't know if I can get this one. Yeah, that's wrong. So the other option is up there. So that's what they wanted. But here we could just capture. All right, then we're able to escape. All right, well, that was a 1460 rated problem. It was like a 50-50 chance on which way we go with our king. So I hope you did better than I did on that one. Let's move on to another one. We have a capture here with the threat of mate in 1. So that is looking dangerous. All right. Well, checks. We could try and sacrifice the queen. The king would go into the corner to capture the queen. We could check, but the rook would capture. Then this rook could be picked off, and we still have that mate in 1 to deal with. All right, we're ahead by a lot of material. So, well, or no, are we? Maybe we're not. I forgot about the other rook. So they have 2 rooks, and they have extra pawns. So we have to do something immediate here. All right, I'm thinking we use our bishop check. Capture, rook captures. Then we could check up here. If the rook moves up to block, we can go here, and that'll lead to a mate. So capture, check, and then this leads to a mate because the king can only go in the corner, and then we checkmate with our queen backed up by the knight. All right, hopefully you found that one. Let me try and move this along a little bit because some of those problems took a little bit longer. All right, bishop is just developed here. What do we have in this position? Material is what, even? Looks like it. Okay, well, we could attack the queen and threaten a fork here on the king and the rook. Does that work? So knight to d5, attacking the queen. The queen could do what then? Maybe move over here. But then we have this fork. So I think that's the way to go. All right, and then we just fork. We get the rook, but their king will be stuck in the middle. They'll get this pawn with check, but we can just block. All right, so that's what they wanted, the fork here on the king and the rook. All right, on to the next problem. I hope you did well with that one. Okay, a pawn was just captured. What do we do here? Let's take a look. So pause at any time. As always, if you need to think longer. Okay. Why didn't they pick off our knight? Okay, so as usual, look for checks first. The only possible check appears to be with the queen. So is that the move? Check. If the king moves here or here, it's a mate with queen to f2. And the king cannot escape over this way. So it looks like, when you're in check, what can you do? Capture the attacker, which is not possible. Run, and if the king tries to run, it'll lead to a mate. Or block. And it looks like there is a blocking opportunity. So check, the pawn will block. Our knight can go here, capturing the pawn, attacking the rook. If the rook moves, we could move with a discovered attack here. Okay, what does the material look like? We have 7 pawns versus, 8? So we're behind by 1 pawn, and the rest of the material is even. So queen checks, pawn blocks, knight captures with an attack on the rook. Now if the bishop captures, we just capture and have a check here, and then we could maybe even, the king could just move here. And then, I don't know, there's not much of a follow-up. Oh, but we will be able to pick this pawn off. So that looks to be the way to go once the bishop is given up. Unless we check, pawn blocks, knight captures, and the bishop does not capture, and the rook just moves. Well then, what do? Go back here with a discovered attack, and then we're attacking the bishop. So it looks like this works either way. Okay, and they choose the easier path. Okay, now he's in check. If the king moves here to prevent us from attacking the rook, well then next we can just pick off this pawn. Then I don't know, we're just ahead a little bit. All right, let's knock out these last 4 problems. What was that? A knight? Did the knight capture there? Anyway, it blocks the path of our 2 rooks working together. So this rook is under attack by the king. We can just capture, but then what? That could lead to a check here. So do we have to go here, threatening a capture of this pawn with check? Then if we do that, we could capture here. So if we go here, capture, king runs, we capture again, the king runs over to the center here. All right, a little bit of calculation involved in this one, so which is what I need work on myself. So you can never get enough calculation practice trying to solve these puzzles and problems. All right, if we just capture here, we have a check. If we move, well, we can't even move because of the queen covering that, so we'd have to block. And then material could be exchanged. So we could just capture here, but the rook might, the rook can't move in there. I mean, do we just capture this knight? But then the opponent has these passed pawns over here, which are kind of dangerous. So maybe we have to threaten some kind of mate. If we go here, the problem is it gives our opponent time to make a defensive move. So, oh wait, we just go here immediately and check. So yeah, remember to look at all your checking possibilities. The bishop is covering that. So an immediate check, king goes here, then we check again. And then the king has to go here. And then we move up here with check, or here. No, we can't. Well, the king will be here. Anyway, that's the way to go. So check, check again, and then can we deliver a mate? Well, if we go here, the king can step down. So if we go here, he'll be able to protect this rook. So, yeah, I should have calculated this out more. I'm thinking we go there because now the king is forced to what? Go here. Well, here to protect the other rook. And then we could check again and pick off the rook because the king would be forced to move down here. Then we could capture with another check. So if the king goes here and we capture this rook, there is checking possibilities, but we would be ahead in material. All right, the last three problems. The queen is centralized. We have a lot of checks available here. Queen captures would sacrifice. Looks like we have to sacrifice the rook or the queen. Ooh, does that work though? If we go here, capture, and does this work? If we capture with check, well, then the king can just move out of the way. No, then we would mate over here. So there has to be a capture. So rook captures, forcing the bishop, or excuse me, forcing the pawn to capture the rook. Then we go again. The rook would block. Oh, then we can go here. All right, and mate. So hopefully you found that one. See, now we can capture with a mate over here. All right, 2 more problems to go. I hope you're doing well. And, if these are difficult, let me know if you feel like it in comments below. You can say if you want harder problems. One viewer said that these problems were good at this level. I might, this is the 10th video in this series. I might try and bump it up, maybe from 1250 to 1750 in the next few videos. All right, rook. Centralizing, getting behind this pawn. What checks do we have? A rook sacrifice. Is there a follow-up? We could follow up with a bishop, but the knight could capture. Maybe we capture this pawn. Or, well, maybe we go like that. Capture the pawn. If the knight captures us, we could just capture here, but then the rook could block our attack. If we capture, our queen could get involved. All right. Another one that's a little tricky here. Do we just sacrifice the rook? King captures, then we capture this pawn, targeting the knight. If the knight captures, we could recapture with the bishop and check, and then bring our queen up into the action. Maybe, We have to figure out if we are doing this in the right order. Do we sacrifice the rook first, or do we just capture a pawn first? All right. So material, we have 5 pawns versus they have 1 more pawn. They have 6. The rest of the material is even. But this rook, can this rook do anything? Sacrifice itself. I'm thinking that we sacrifice that rook. If the king captures, what if we go here, but the knight doesn't capture? It just, if it does capture, we capture with a check. Then we bring up our queen into the action. Or do we capture the pawn first? Where would this knight go? Could jump down here. And then how do we continue? Maybe we sacrifice, or we just bring our queen up here immediately, but then there's a block. We could capture, queen captures with check. That might work. So it's either knight captures first or we sacrifice the rook first. All right. The knight capture was best. Now we should sacrifice. Now, if we do that, and then we go here, do we have a good follow-up? So what if we just capture with the bishop? See, I should have calculated. I mean, I was trying to calculate this all in my head, but I wasn't sure what order to do this in. So bishop captures, then the rook is targeting with that. They could push forward, and then what do we do? This is more forcing. Sacrifice the rook. King captures. Bishop captures with check. Then what? Where does the king go? If the king goes here, we have another check. But is that enough? This is safer to just capture with the bishop. But then he could just block. Then what do we do? Do we bring our queen up here, targeting this? All right. So they like that. Well, now, are we forced to capture here? If we capture, king captures, our queen can jump into the game. They could block, but then we could capture there. So, I don't know. This looks kind of forcing. All right. See, I don't know. I wish they would show more of the follow-up, because here we are 5 pawns versus 5, but we're, I don't know, once they capture here, we check, or do we check that way probably? The king could just move back to where it was. Then what? We go here, threatening to, now we can't capture that, it's protected. So anyway, I don't want to drag the video on forever, so you could set this up on a board or take a deeper look at it if you want, but I don't know, I wish they would have showed a little bit more on this problem, and it was kind of tricky. All right, the final problem. A knight has just captured our bishop here. What can we do? All right, well, look for those checks. I see a fork here. We do have a fork of king and rook. So that is pretty decent. Oh, and a mate after that. So knight checks. King will have to move because of this queen covering the open file. And then the queen can move up here. And that looks to be a mate. All right. Well, hopefully you found that. A good quick way to end it. All right. Feel free to leave comments as always. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching and have a super chess day.